What's going on, everyone? Today's deep dive is all about static versus rotating proxies and which one you actually need. I'm going to walk you through everything step by step, so by the end of this you'll have a really solid understanding. Let's go. Static and rotating proxies differ in one fundamental way, and that's how long you keep the same IP address. Static proxies assign you a fixed IP that never changes. Every request you make goes through the same address for as long as you maintain the subscription. Rotating proxies automatically cycle through a pool of IPs, assigning a different address for each request or at regular intervals. Let's start with how static proxies work. A static proxy gives you exclusive use of one or more specific IP addresses. Your traffic always exits through that same IP. Static proxies are available as dedicated data center IPs, which are the fastest and cheapest per IP, ISP proxies, which are ISP assigned IPs on data center servers, and dedicated residential IPs, which are the rarest and most expensive. Now, how do rotating proxies work? A rotating proxy gateway assigns a different IP from a pool for each request or session. Rotating proxies typically draw from residential IP pools with millions of IPs from real ISPs, data center pools with thousands of IPs from hosting providers, and mobile pools with IPs from 4G or 5G carrier networks. So when should you use static proxies? The first big use case is account management. Each account needs a consistent IP address to avoid triggering security alerts. You assign one static proxy per account, and all activity for that account always uses the same IP. The second use case is SEO rank tracking. Consistent IP addresses ensure your search results are not influenced by IP-based personalization changes. You track rankings from the same IP daily for an accurate comparison baseline. Third is streaming and long sessions. Services like Netflix and Spotify verify IP consistency throughout a session, so you need a static IP that doesn't change midstream. Fourth is payment processing. Payment gateways flag transactions where the IP changes between cart and checkout. Now, when should you use rotating proxies? The first use case is large-scale web scraping. Distributing requests across many IPs avoids rate limits and blocks. With a rotating proxy, each of your 10,000 page requests could come from a different IP address. Second is price comparison and monitoring. Checking competitor prices should appear as many different consumers, so rotating IPs make each price check look like a unique visitor. Third is search engine data collection. Google rate limits per IP, so rotating proxies let you issue many queries without getting blocked. Fourth is ad verification. Checking ad placements from diverse geographic locations and IP addresses requires many different IPs. Let's talk about cost comparison. For managing something like 50 social media accounts, you'd need 50 static proxies. Depending on the type, that could be data center IPs at around $2 to $3 each per month, or ISP proxies at around $5 each. That's a predictable monthly cost. For scraping 1 million pages monthly, rotating residential proxies billed per gigabyte would be the way to go. Depending on page sizes and your provider's rates, you'd calculate based on total data transfer. For mixed workloads, many teams combine both: static proxies for account management tasks and rotating proxies for scraping tasks. This way you optimize cost and performance for each type of work. When it comes to configuration, for static proxies, you'd set up a pool where each task gets permanently assigned to a specific proxy. So if you assign Instagram account 1 to static proxy 1, every time you check that account, it always routes through the same proxy. For rotating proxies, the setup is simpler since the provider handles rotation automatically. You just point all your requests at the rotating gateway, and each one gets a different IP. Now for some frequently asked questions. Can I use a static proxy for web scraping? Yes, but with limitations. A single static IP can only make a limited number of requests to a target before being rate limited or blocked. For small-scale scraping under 1,000 requests per day to the same site, a static proxy works fine. For large-scale scraping, you either need many static proxies with manual rotation logic or should use rotating proxies. Do rotating proxies support sticky sessions? Yes, most rotating proxy providers offer sticky sessions as an option. You specify a session ID and the provider maintains the same IP for a configurable duration, typically 1 to 30 minutes. This gives you the best of both worlds. Automatic rotation for general scraping and persistent sessions when you need them. How many static proxies equal one rotating proxy subscription? This depends on your target websites and volume. As a rough guide, one rotating residential proxy subscription with a 10 million plus IP pool provides more IP diversity than you could practically achieve with static proxies. To match the rotation capability of a residential proxy pool, you would need hundreds or thousands of static IPs. Can I switch from rotating to static mid-task? Yes, if your provider offers both types. You can use rotating proxies for discovery, like finding product URLs, and then switch to static proxies for persistent operations like monitoring and account management. Many providers let you configure this in the proxy endpoint URL. What happens if my static proxy IP gets banned? Most paid proxy providers offer IP replacements. You request a new IP to replace the banned one. Some providers do this automatically when they detect a ban. With rotating proxies, banned IPs are simply excluded from the rotation pool automatically by the provider. To wrap up, static proxies provide the consistency needed for account management, long sessions, and operations where IP identity matters. Rotating proxies provide the diversity needed for large-scale scraping, rate-limit evasion, and anonymous data collection. Most professional setups use both. Static for identity-dependent operations and rotating for volume-dependent operations. So there you have it, a complete breakdown of static versus rotating proxies. Remember, the key is to start implementing what you've learned and keep refining your approach over time. For more guides like this one, visit us at dataresearchtools.com. We're constantly putting out new content to help you stay ahead of the curve. See you in the next one.